Most people comparing Southwest Florida markets look at Naples or Cape Coral, but they miss the one city that gives you a little bit of everything in one place. I've been living out here for over 27 years, and in this video I'll show you what living here is really like in 2026. And by the end, you'll know exactly which part of this city fits you or if it doesn't fit you at all. When people ask me who actually lives here, I always say the same thing. It's a mixed bag, and I mean that in a good way. You've got a pretty wide range of people living here. There's a strong retiree presence, especially during the winter months, but it's not just that. There are families that have been here for years, raising kids, building their lives here full time. Then you've got the college crowd near Florida Gulf Coast University, about 15 miles southeast of downtown, bringing in a younger energy. And on top of that, there are young professionals, people working locally, and snowbirds who split their time between up north and down here depending on the season. It's a mixed bag, and I mean that in a good way. When a city needs too far one way, all retirees, all students, all seasonal, things start to feel off. Stuff shuts down part of the year, the energy drops. Fort Myers doesn't really deal with that. There's enough variety here that things keep moving all year. Restaurants stay open, events keep going. There's always something happening. So if you're trying to figure out if you'd fit in here, I mean, you probably would. Most people do. And that steady year-round feel didn't happen by accident. The jobs and the infrastructure grew right along with it. That's what we're getting into next. So if you're thinking about making a move to Fort Myers or anywhere in Southwest Florida, I work with buyers, sellers, and people relocating here pretty much every day. I can give you a real breakdown of what actually makes sense for your situation, whether you're just starting to look or you're getting closer to making a move. My contact info is down in the description. All right, let's keep going. So when people ask why so many are choosing Fort Myers, it usually comes down to how easy it is to live here day to day. You can get around pretty easily from here. Jump on I-75 and Naples is under an hour. Tampa's about 2 hours. Orlando's about 3 hours northeast. Miami's still a doable drive, so you're not locked into one area. And the airport being right here helps a lot. Southwest Florida International Airport, you've got major airlines, direct flights, even routes coming in from Canada. It handled over 11 million passengers last year, so it's busy. For people traveling for work or going back and forth to see family, it just works. Now, if you want to be closer to most of the jobs that usually pay pretty well in the area, Fort Myers is probably going to be the spot. A lot of the bigger companies in this area are based here. Lee Health is here. That's the largest healthcare system around. You've also got Publix, Chico's FAS, Millennium Physician Group, and Amazon is building a robotics center right now. So there's a solid job base in Fort Myers. People living in Cape Coral and nearby areas drive into Fort Myers for work all the time. That's where most of the jobs are. But people around here know how to have fun too, especially late February and March. The energy picks up and a lot of that comes from spring training. Fort Myers has 2 major league teams right here, basically next to each other. The Red Sox play at JetBlue Park and the Twins over at Hammond Stadium. So during that time of year, people are out, games are going on, and it just feels more alive. You've got fans coming in from the Northeast and Midwest, and it turns into a mix of people going to games, hanging out, and just enjoying the whole thing. The truth is, you can have a completely different lifestyle depending on where you are. That's why I'm showing you how each neighborhood feels, but we'll get there in a minute. Now, golf is a big part of the lifestyle too. There are loads of courses in this metro. Some are part of full communities built around golf, and beyond that, the golf is close by. Boating and fishing are part of everyday life here. And for just everyday stuff to do, a lot of it ends up happening around Fort Myers. You've got Gulf Coast Town Center out in South Fort Myers, big outdoor spot with shopping and food. Bell Tower Shops is a little more low-key, more boutique. Then you got places like Top Golf, Dave & Buster's, the Gulf Coast Symphony, Florida Repertory Theater downtown. So there's always something going on depending on what you're into. Compared to Cape Coral, which is more quiet and residential, Fort Myers is where people go for work, travel, and things to do. So it makes sense why people choose to be here. But choosing a place and actually being able to afford it, that's 2 different things. So next, let's get into what actually costs to live here. Most people moving to Florida look at the purchase price, maybe the mortgage, and kind of stop there. But once you start adding everything else in, that monthly number goes up. So let's break that down a bit. And when it comes to houses, there's a pretty big range here. You've got condos, townhomes, single family homes, duplexes, even multi-family. There is something for almost every budget, but it depends on what you're looking for. Downtown, especially around the River District, condos usually start in the low 300s. Some of the older homes that have been fixed up or just nicer properties, those get into the 400s and up. Then you've got places like the McGregor Corridor, more established, and you're around 500s or higher there for something solid. Golf communities in South Fort Myers, those are more in that mid to upper 300s range into the 500s. And if you're thinking bigger, like 5 bedrooms, more land, maybe some acreage, it's out there, but it usually needs a higher budget, and there's less inventory like that. Fort Myers isn't the cheapest option in Southwest Florida anymore. You're paying for the location and convenience now. But compared to cities like Chicago, New York, or even Miami, a lot of people still feel like it's a good deal. However, the market's not the same as it was a couple years ago, and you need to know that up front. I'm breaking that down in just a bit, so stick with me. Now, you have other costs here, and insurance is a big one. In Florida, that's something you have to plan for. For a regular Fort Myers home, not on the beach, you're usually looking at somewhere in the $3,500 to $5,000 range a year for homeowners insurance. Some homes are higher depending on the details. Prices have come down a bit since Hurricane Ian. More companies are offering policies again, but it's still higher than what most people are used to. Flood insurance is separate too. If the property is in a flood zone and you're getting mortgage, you're most likely required to get it. So when you're looking at numbers, you've got to include that, not just the purchase price. Then you've got property taxes and HOA fees. Taxes are around 1 and 1.5% of the purchase price per year if you're living there full time and file for homestead. That helps reduce the total. HOA fees vary a lot. Some are a couple hundred a month. Gated communities with more amenities can be $300 to $500. And if it's a 55+ community with a lot included, it can go higher than that. You want to know what that full monthly number looks like before making a move. Once you got that figured out, then it's about finding the part of Fort Myers that fits how you want to live, because areas here feel pretty different. One part of the city is pretty active. There's always people out, restaurants full, music going on. And then not far from that, it slows down. It gets quieter. There's more space. It's a different pace. Same city, just a different lifestyle depending on the area. Downtown is where most of that energy sits. Brick streets, older buildings that have been redone, restaurants, bars, art galleries. You got art walk and music walk bringing people in from all over. It's one of the few places around here where you can actually walk around and hang out. Right by the river, you've got the Edison and Ford Winter Estates. Those are their actual homes, now museums. You could go on a weekend, walk the grounds, and spend some time there. Food-wise, there's a mix. Mastello for steak, Buckingham Blue bars for live music, and that dive bar feel. Different options depending on what you're in the mood for. Then you head over to McGregor, and it changes again. The road stands out right away. All the royal palms lined up. That goes back to Edison, bringing them in from Cuba. Homes out there, you'll see older houses from the 30s, mid-century, and some newer builds closer to the river. It's quieter, more established. A lot of people who want character end up there, and you're still close to downtown. Go south, and now you're in a different setup. Golf communities, master plan neighborhoods, everything built around that lifestyle. Pelican Preserve comes up a lot. It's a 55+ community with around 2,500 homes. You'll always find something to do. There's a big town center, movie theater, pool, pickleball, and 27-hole golf course. And you're close to everything you need. Bell Tower Shops, Gulf Coast Town Center, Coconut Point, all a short drive away. Then, if you go toward the airport, around the Daniels Parkway area, you've got Gateway and Timber Creek. Newer homes, more suburban feel, but still with amenities like pools, fitness centers, and pickleball. You'll see families and professionals there. People who want those features but don't want downtown prices. That area keeps busy for a reason. But people who've been here for a while know Fort Myers comes with trade-offs, and I'll show you those in a minute so you know what you're getting into. Now, when you compare Fort Myers to nearby cities, it lands right in the middle. Cape Coral is more residential, has a lot of canals and a slower pace. Naples is more upscale, more polished, and more expensive. Fort Myers sits between those two. You've got access, things to do, and different types of neighborhoods depending on what you're looking for. Most people end up loving it here because they go with an area that fits the lifestyle they want. And then that's when you start looking at prices, because that's a whole different thing. The housing market in Fort Myers right now just feels different than it did a couple years ago. Buyers have a bit more room, not a ton, but enough where you're not rushing into everything. Prices aren't where they were in 2022 either, and sellers have had to adjust to that. At the same time, people are still moving to Florida. That hasn't stopped. It's just not as aggressive as before, so things feel a little more even now. You'll see homes sitting longer now. Some are closing below list price, and if a seller needs to move, they're usually more open to working with you on it. Then you'll run into homes priced like it's still 2022, and those just sit. The ones that come in at that right number, they'll still go. So the market isn't slow. It just feels more grounded now. The deals are still there. Condos are a different situation right now. Single family homes have held up better. Things have changed after that terrible accident in Surfside. The building collapsed and a lot of people lost their lives. After that, Florida started tightening things up. Now, condo associations have to actually have money set aside for repairs, and a lot of older buildings are still catching up on that. So yeah, you're seeing higher HOA fees and sometimes big assessments. It does cost more, but at the same time, it means buildings are being taken care of the way they should be. If you're looking at a condo, you want to ask about reserves for that specific building before moving forward. Hurricane Ian also changed what's on the market. A lot of rebuilding happened after that. You've got more new homes, more updated homes, and construction now is stronger. Homes built in recent years are some of the most hurricane resistant you're going to find. So yeah, the storm hit hard, no question, but it also pushed better inventory into the market. There's opportunity here. You just want to be clear on how it works right now, because the trade-offs are part of it too. Fort Myers comes with both the good and the trade-offs, and you just want to know what that actually looks like before making a move. One of the things that works really well here is the location. You've got I-75, the airport with over 11 million passengers a year, and everything close by. But that same setup is also why traffic becomes a thing. A lot of people from Cape Coral and nearby areas come into Fort Myers every day for work, so morning and evenings can get busy. This metro consistently already ranks among the more congested in the country, and the average commute is close to 30 minutes one way. During the season, November to April, it gets worse. Colonial Boulevard, US 41, and the bridges, those are the spots where you feel it. Besides, you're driving to most places unless you're downtown. The River District is walkable, but most of the city isn't set up that way. This is a car-dependent area, so day to day, you're gonna be in your car quite a bit. Now, having everything here is what keeps the city alive. Restaurants, events, spring training, golf access, there's always something going on. But that same thing is what makes it busier. Compared to Cape Coral or Lehigh, you're dealing with more people and more activity every day. When it comes to houses, you've got a solid range here. You got all kinds of homes at different price points, so it's easier to find something that works for you. And you've got no state income tax. Plus, prices not at peak levels right now, which help buyers a lot. But the truth is, this isn't the cheapest option in the area. Cape Coral and Lehigh Acres are usually lower. You're paying for being more central with easier access to everything around you. On top of that, the monthly costs can add up. Insurance is a big part of that. For a typical home, you're usually around $3,600 to $4,000 a year just for insurance, and that's before taxes or HOA fees. So the monthly number ends up higher than what people expect. One more thing to keep in mind is hurricanes. Ian hit, and it hit hard. It caused real damage, and people still talk about it. So this isn't something you ignore. You've got to know your flood zone and be prepared. The newer homes are built stronger now, which helps a lot, but it's still something that comes with living here. So yeah, Fort Myers has its pros and cons, and you just want to make sure it fits what you're looking for before you move. For some people, it's not going to be the right fit, but for the right person, it checks a lot of boxes. If being close to everything is important to you, this place works. Jobs, airport, restaurant, it's all right here. So you're not driving far for everyday stuff. You've got healthcare, real estate, hospitality, trade. A lot of jobs are centered here. That's why you see people coming in from places like Cape Coral and the surrounding areas every day. Besides, you don't feel isolated here. There are always people around, places open, things to do. It feels connected. Part of that comes from the mix of people here: retirees, families, younger buyers, snowbirds. You're not walking into just one type of place, which is what makes it feel more connected. And if you're someone who wants options, this works really well. One day you're in a golf community, another day you're downtown or in a gated neighborhood or something more suburban. You've got different setups to choose from. On the other hand, if you're looking for something quiet and slower, this might feel a bit busy for you. There's more movement here. Cape Coral is more laid back and residential. And if you're going something very specific like high-end luxury at the top level, most people look at Naples for that. If you're trying to get more land or more space for less money, places like Lehigh Acres usually make more sense. You're giving up proximity, but you're getting more space. So it all comes down to what you want for your day-to-day. That's kind of the reality of Fort Myers right now. You've got very different areas that fit different people, so it's actually hard to miss if you know what you're looking for going in. If you're looking at Fort Myers and trying to compare it to other areas around Southwest Florida and you want a clear idea of what actually makes sense for you, email me at german@swflhouses.com today. If Cape Coral is still on your radar, I linked the video going over the real costs most people miss: insurance, utilities, canal differences, the stuff that can hit your monthly payment. Thanks for watching. See you next time.